Hi everyone, it is day 6 of our junk journal, January 2025, and we are on something embossed. For this day, I have my junk journal and I've got a lot of different supplies and things I'm going to do. I am planning to do some paper embossing using an embossing folder, so I think that may be called like dry embossing. We're going to do some of that, and also I'm going to use my Versamark watermark stamp pad and some embossing powder. I've got both a gold color and in my little container here a clear, and I want to show you a couple of things that I'm going to do with that. So let's get into embossing for day 6. So on my January junk journal, we are working right over here on day 6. I'm going to do my embossing. And I'm going to start off with, I think what I'm actually going to build is a little bit of a pocket with a fold, and that's going to be able, we're going to be able to incorporate our embossing on that fold. And then I'm also going to use a tag here. I have this box of shipping tags. I've had it for quite a while. The dimensions on the tags are 4 3/4 by 2 3/8. And so I'm going to use this shipping tag, do a little embossing on that, and then I'm going to also throw in a little bit extra stamping embossing that we may use tomorrow, but I want to go ahead and work on that today. So I have a piece of decorative paper that I have just taken my ruler. It was originally a 6x6, and I've just ripped off a little bit to give me about a 3x5 card, and it is double-sided, because I want both sides there. I want to also do a little distress around the edges. And the technique that I'm going to show you with this, I saw a few days ago. If I can find the person who I originally saw it on, I will tag them. It's a really simple technique using some clear embossing powder. And I want to just try it here. I'm going to use it on this white side. Now, before I do it, I'm going to do a little bit of stamping on this card. I have this stamp here that is a snowflake. It is originally a Stampin' Up. It's a really old one. I'm going to use this soft suede from Stampin' Up. And I'm just going to do some of this snowflake along this paper. Some of the pieces coming off, it doesn't really matter. We don't want a perfect view, right? Okay, so if you can kind of see that. And then what I want to try to do is we're going to take our clear embossing powder. Got my Versamark stamp pad, and I'm just going to ink up this card that I've done. Just put that on there. And then, very carefully, I've got my little paper down here to catch any extras. I'm going to take my clear embossing powder and just put this all over the card. Try to get every little spot. I can see where it has been. And tap that off. And very carefully set that down. Now I have my embossing heater, and I'm going to also use my little pick to hold this in place, and I'm going to turn this on. So I decided to mute the video right here because using the heating tool is a little loud, and I also sped it up a little bit because it took about a minute for this to fully work out. So I'm just carefully running that heating tool over the paper and the embossing powder, and we're getting close. It's hard to tell on screen, but I'm thinking right about now in this upper left-hand corner, you can see those red dots change just a little bit. They get really brighter. In person, I could tell a lot better, but I could see the crystals were melting, and we were getting the embossing done. Okay, and if you can see how this embossing powder that has melted there and it gives that little shiny appearance, I'm going to let this cool off just a bit. So here's the final look for this, where we use the clear embossing powder all over the entire card, and it gives it a very smooth surface. The thing that's different here, it is, and see, this is just the other side where we don't have any embossing powder, and then you see the shininess picking up. It's different than being laminated. It's going to give it just a different look. And so this is the first thing that I wanted to show with the embossing, and I'm going to end up using this, I think, tomorrow. We have a thing for day 7, a tuck spot. This will be perfect to put in a tuck spot. Let me show you the tag that we'll do that's going to work today. But this is the first clear embossing method. Now let's work on the tag that we're going to add in with today's section. This is another Stampin' Up! Stamp. It's many years old. I would say at least 10 to 15 years old, and it's still on the wood block. But I love these trees here, and it looks like whenever we use this, we took off the season's greetings from this stamp, which I really like because now we can use it outside of just the holiday season. So I'm also going to show you here what I'm planning to do is I'm going to actually put ink on this and use regular ink. I'm using the color Crumb Cake. I just want a light color across here, and I'm going to make this tag in the horizontal direction. And because it is a bigger stamp, I'm going to first here, I'm going to ink up the stamp from this direction. Make sure we get plenty of ink on this. And the full length of the tag is not going to fit, and that's fine. Now I'm going to take my tag, and I think I want it to go in, it doesn't really matter which direction. I'm going to go from this direction, and I'm just going to place it on top and then press down and rub. And let's see what kind of image we have that comes out. This is just from inking. Haven't started the embossing part of this yet. And again, I want it to kind of be messy a little bit. Look at that. Is that not gorgeous? This would be beautiful on its own. It's making me think I need to emboss this as well. Now let's do a little inking around the tag to give it our finished look. Vintagey, antique. And I want it to also be on the back side. So it has that look all the way around. Okay. Now I'm going to take my Versamark again, and I have this stamp that says your friendship is like a song of spring. I didn't really have any good wintry type sayings. I'm going to stamp that right here in the lower right hand corner. Now I can't really see it very well. That's part of when we do the stamping with the Versamark. Now though, I'm going to take my gold embossing powder, and I'm just going to sprinkle that over that section that I stamped. And then we'll tap that off. And we're going to see how that comes out. Tap off a little bit on the edge. I may have done some extra got on there right on that edge. Sometimes you have to be really careful so we don't mess up the stamped image. And there we are. We're finished. Your friendship is like a song of spring. I don't want to touch it right now because it's still warm and I don't want to smear it. But I love the look of that raised text with the background here of the beautiful trees. That's going to be our tag that we're going to use here. So this is how we embossed this with embossing powder. Now I'm back on the page, and I'm going to go back with this snowflake stamp and do some stamping on this page. And just to have a little bit of a background as we're working. And it's good to just have it all over the page. Now to make the little pocket for our tag, I'm taking another 6x6 sheet of paper. And I'm going to place this over. I actually want like the tag to fit down in here. And us to have a fold, but I really want the fold to cover the majority of the page. So really, I want the fold to be here, but that's not quite big enough. Let's do that a little bit more even. So what I'm planning to do is take this sheet of paper. We're going to add it to the front there to about right there. Again, look, I'm doing my measuring. That's not exact. I'm going to use my ruler to tear. And also from the top, because we're going to line these up together. I'm going to end up putting this together here, but I want to emboss this with the honeycomb embossing folder. So I'm going to put this in here, and let me go put this in my Big Shot. And now this has come out of the Big Shot embossed, and you can see we have the raised side and the inverted side there. I'm going to use that on top. And I think I'm also going to take, I don't know if it'll show up. Let's see. We probably don't need a lot, but I'm going to put this kind of over a little bit to kind of give it some other dimension, depth. That was our word for yesterday. And I'm also going to do some inking around this piece. Now this is a green. I haven't really used any green in my journal yet. Kind of been more with the browns. But I thought, hey, we're kind of foresty, even though it is winter. This is probably a little bit greener than I want with the black, I think is what does it. But it will be okay. All right, so we've got that inked up. I'm going to take a strip of my two-sided tape. Make sure I can see it. Run it down this edging here. And then we're going to attach that brown piece. That has been embossed. Okay. So when I place this down, I'm going to end up gluing it on 3 sides so that we can then slide our tag in. But we need a couple of things. We're going to need, I want to go with the twine on here. And we need something for the inside of our booklet and maybe a tab. Okay, so let me work on getting those things. I'm going to place a little journaling spot on the inside here. But I want it to be just a little secret spot spot with edges rough. So I'm just going to tear it out of a scrap piece of my printable. Oops. We're going to glue that in right there. Put a little ink around the edge. And we'll glue that in. I'm going to use my glue stick for that. And I wanted to put a little tab here, and if you remember this piece of burlap that I used, where was that? Oh, right here behind the outline of the little house. I'm going to take a little strip, turn it over, and we're going to staple that down to make a little tab. So I'm going to want it on the front, so I can do that now before I have glued anything down. And I'm just going to staple this in place. Maybe 2 staples. And this will indicate to someone to open it up. Actually, I may just do 1 staple. Let's make sure I got both. I may need to do 2. Let me do another one. I missed the bottom. And that's okay. All right, that will work. And so now we're going to have that right here. You open it up. So now I want to put a little glue behind this. I'm going to do it on the 3 sides because we're going to have a slot for the tag. And this tag is really, we don't want it to go all the way down. So let's kind of test it out. Kind of want it to go there, so I'm going to glue all the way to here. I know I may add something later in there, possibly, but that's okay. So now we'll glue this down. And I'm going to place my weights on that, and let's let this dry for just a little bit. While this piece is drying, we can go ahead and put a little bit of twine on this tag. And I'm just going to take a small piece, double it, put that end through, and then we'll pull through here. Just a simple tie there. And that is our embossed tag. I love to emboss. I think it adds so much to any piece. All right, so we've let this dry a little bit, and now I'm going to show you what I've been working on today. For this embossed section, we have this embossed cover of a little booklet almost that you open up, and you can also see the other side of the embossing. And we have a little place that you can do any kind of journaling. And we're going to have in here our tag, which you could journal on the back of this as well. And it fits in right there, nice. Now, I like to have things hanging out of my journal, and we'll have some more things, I'm sure. If you didn't like that, you could just snip it off right there, and you wouldn't have to put that in there. But we have this nice little place for this embossed tag. And so those are 2 different ways of embossing and ways I've incorporated it into this page for today. I hope that you enjoy that. Now, this is another thing. I want to share 2 things with you. First of all, this is why I like doing these journaling things, because as I'm trying to figure out ideas, I'm coming up with them just like you are, and I'm looking at the supplies I have. And today I came across this stamp that is in my stash, but I have not used it in such a long time. Honestly, I forgot it was there, and now I've gotten it out and used it, and I absolutely love this. And so I'm excited that I have been reintroduced to my stamp here, and that's just another great thing about these kind of challenges and things that we're doing. Using the things that we have and being creative with everything. The second thing is we're finished with embossing here. Tomorrow will be tuck spot. Even though I made a little tuck spot right here, I think I've got another idea for what we'll do over here tomorrow. So be sure and join me if you haven't watched the other videos that go along with days 1 through 5. Check that out in my videos and be looking forward to the next video. Hope you've enjoyed it, and again, comment below if you've done any of these. I love to look at all of them. Thanks.